3.2 Substitution and Elimination. We're still solving systems of equations, but this time we're not going to do any graphing. And what I would recommend you do is look through your equations, and you're going to see sometimes you've got a variable by itself, and other times you've got an equation written in standard form. So it doesn't matter that this is slope-intercept form, but what I'm looking for is a variable by itself or standard form. If I've got both of my equations in standard form, I'm probably going to want to solve it by elimination. However, if I've got one of my variables solved for, I'm probably going to want to do substitution. So you're going to have your choice. You can either use substitution or elimination, but you want to pick the one that's easier. Problem 1. I can see that y is equal to -3. So what I'm going to do in this case, when I've got one of the variables, I can just put it in place of that variable in the other equation. -3 equals 3x minus 6. And I've got an equation, and I'm going to iso the variable to find x. So I add 6. That gives me 3 equals 3x. And then divide by 3. So 1 equals x. And at this point, I know both of the values. I know x is 1. I know y is -3. So my solution is the point. X is 1. Y is -3. They're not always going to be that easy, but that's basically what we're doing. Number 3. I know that y is equal to -4x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug that in for y. Put -4x in place of y, and we would have -4x equals 11x plus 15. I want to isolate the variable, but first let's get the variables together. Subtract -11x, that says -15x equals 15. Divide by -15, and x equals -1. So that's half of my answer. The problem is I don't know the other value yet. I know that y equals -4x, and we just found that x was -1, so I'm going to do a second substitution. Basically what I'm doing is taking this -1 and putting in place of the x variable. Y equals -4 times -1, y equals +4. So now that I know both values, I've got the solution. X is -1, y is 4. Number 5. I've got a variable by itself, so I can still do substitution. How this works is I know what y is. Y is 2x plus 38. So I'm going to put that in place of the y right here. It's equal to y, so I put it in place of the y. So we would have 2x plus 13 times that expression equals -10. So keep in mind what we're doing. Don't get confused. We're putting the 2x plus 38 in that position. And I've got maybe a complicated looking equation, but we can do this. I want to get my like terms together. I want to combine like terms. I want to isolate the variable. Let's start by distributing that 13. 2x plus 13 times 2x is 26x, and 13 times 38, I don't know that one. $494. So plus 494 equals -10. Like terms give me 28x. But I'm going to go ahead and subtract this 494 over. So I have -10 minus 494. That'll be what? -504. Continue isolating the variable, so we're going to divide by 28. Hopefully that comes out nice. -504. divided by 28. Negative 18. X equals negative 18. So that's one of the values. But what we're going to do is we're going to take that value and put it in for x in this original expression. We've got y equals 2 times that number, negative 18, plus 38. And you can use your calculator if you want to. 2 times negative 18 plus 38 is 2. Y is 2. And so now that we've got both values, we've got our answer. Negative 18 for x, positive 2 for y. All right, number 7. Now, the directions say use substitution, but honestly, I don't care. What I would do is use whichever way makes more sense to you. And so I think a lot of you would probably rather do elimination here. How elimination works is we want to be able to cross out one of those variables. But that will only happen if you've got like a positive 3 and a negative 3. If you add those things straight down, positive 3y and minus 3y are going to cancel out. So we need to set that up in a very specific way. I think I want a 3 right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply that top equation, the whole thing, right side, left side, every term, I'm going to multiply by 3. And I think the easiest way to do is just right above the thing, write your new terms right above the equation. 3x times 3 is 9x, and y times 3 is plus 3y, and 22 times 3 is equal 66. So I cross that out, I write down my new equation just like that. And what we can do is we can add straight down. Add your like terms. We've got 9x plus 8x is 17x. And we've got 3y plus negative 3y is 0y. So that gets eliminated. That's the name of that method, elimination. And then 66 plus negative 32, 66 plus negative 32. It's 34. All righty. Now we've got a much easier equation to solve. Only got one variable. I can divide by 17 here, and I get x equals 2. Now, I've got one of my values. I've got the x value, but I need the y value. And I need to plug that number in, and I could plug it into any one of my equations, but I think this one, the one that I crossed out, is probably going to be the easiest one in this case. So it said 3 times the x number plus y equals 22. But we're plugging that 2 in right there. So 3 times 2 is 6 plus y equals 22. Subtract the 6 over, and y equals 16. So now we've got our x and our y. Answer 2, 16. So I know we were supposed to do that one by substitution, but we did it by elimination. And that's what they want us to do here. Solve each system by elimination. In number 9 is nice because if you notice, the x terms are already set up to eliminate. And so we can add straight down and eliminate the x terms. We keep adding straight down. Negative 5y and negative 3y make negative 8y. 2 plus negative 2 is 0. So don't get confused by this. We're just going to solve. Divide by negative 8 on both sides. 0 divided by negative 8 is 0. Now you'll need to take that and plug that into either one of the two equations, and it doesn't matter which one. Let's say we pick the one on the top. Negative 2x minus 5 times my y value equals 2. And we took that y value right there, 0. So that's negative 2x, and negative 5 times 0 is 0. So negative 2x is going to equal 2. Divide by negative 2 to iso the variable x equals negative 1. And now we've got both numbers. X is negative 1, y is 0. (11) It looks like an elimination problem, but notice how neither the x nor the y are opposites. I would want it to be a negative 8 and a positive 8, or a negative 4 and a positive 4. So we need to make that happen. There are multiple ways of doing it, several ways of doing it, but the easiest thing to do is if I multiply this by negative 4 and turn this into a positive 4y. That's what I want to do. I multiply all the terms. Negative 8x times negative 4 is positive 32x. And negative y times negative 4 is positive 4y. And 4 times negative 4 equals negative 16. I'm going to add straight down. And add straight down. 32x plus 4x is 36x. 4y plus negative y gets eliminated. And negative 16 plus 16, you might say, well, that gets eliminated too, but it's not nothing. It's 0. Anytime you eliminate something, it's 0. And we don't have to say plus 0y here, so we just leave it blank. That's the only reason why we leave it blank. We wouldn't just leave something completely gone. 36x equals 0. So iso this variable, I'm going to divide by 36, and I get x equals 0. I'm going to plug that into one of the two equations. It doesn't matter which one. So let's say I plug it into this one. I've got 4 times that x number is 0, which I just found, minus 4y equals 16. So that's going to be 0, and 0 minus 4y is negative 4y equals 16. I'm going to divide by negative 4, and I get y equals negative 4. I've got my two values, x and y. So the answer, x is 0, y is negative 4. (13), last one. All right, so I want to either cancel out the x's or the y's, and it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. And so the secret is getting the least common multiple. If you look at a 2 and a 3, the least common multiple is 6. So what you're going to have to do is make one of them a 6 and one of them a negative 6. Or you do these. One of them a 6 and one of them a negative 6, which actually I think the y variables would be easier. So that's what I'll do. I want to make 6y and negative 6y. So in order to get that done, I'm going to multiply the top row by 2. That would give me negative 4x plus 6y equals 0. Cross it out. On the bottom, I want negative 6y, so I multiply by 3. It gives me negative 9x minus 6y equals negative 39. And when I add straight down, I notice those y terms cancel out. So adding the x is negative 4x minus 9x, negative 13x, and 0 plus negative 39 is negative 39. I can divide by negative 13. I get x equals 3. Halfway there. Take any one of those 4 equations you're looking at. Typically, I try to pick the one that I think looks easiest, which was the one that I crossed out. Negative 2 times my x value plus 3y equals 0. So I'm going to put that 3 in there. And we've got negative 6 plus 3y equals 0. Let's add the 6 to try to iso the variable. 3y equals 6. I'm going to divide by 3, and I get y equals 2. So now I've got both numbers. X is 3, y is 2. X is 3, y is 2.